The world of Star Wars can be quite violent at times. Whether you're being beheaded by Mace Windu, dismembering Count Dooku's hands, or being choked alive by Darth Vader, there is countless ways to go in the Star Wars universe, especially when there's a weapon like the lightsaber existing in it. But when it comes to Star Wars video games, we don't really necessarily get that gory aspect. Most games like to play it safe. One good example is Jedi Fallen Order, where dismembering parts of an enemy, like a stormtrooper, is just not really available there. Yes, you can dismember monsters, but when it comes to humans, it's a no-go. There has been dismemberment mods added to Jedi Fallen Order to add that extra bit of realism. And yes, whilst the mod does make it look pretty gruesome, official Star Wars games like Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 actually had dismemberment in it, and it only got a teen rating, which is quite interesting because Jedi Fallen Order has the same certificate. But what if I told you there was an official Star Wars video game out there that allowed you to do some pretty dark stuff and got an E for everyone rating? Well, I'm going to be showing that game and what you can do in it in today's video. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now don't get me wrong, there is a pretty gruesome, violent Star Wars mod, which is the Star Wars Total Conversion mod for Blade and Sorcery VR, which allows you to use lightsabers to decapitate heads, sever arms, and chop off legs. But that is a mod at the end of the day, and mods can get as violent as they want to. But when it comes to Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace on the PS1, things might not get super violent, but pretty dark. I wanted to capture the footage myself, so after not playing this game for almost 20 years, I decided to pick it up and give it another go. And I gotta say, the game is tough. Without using any cheats whatsoever, I managed to blast through 5 levels of this really tedious game at times. And honest to God, I don't know how kids, especially me when I was much younger playing this game, was even able to pass level 1. But finally, we reached the level that matters the most for this video, that being level 6, Mos Espa. Here you need to find Anakin, Jar Jar, and the pod racer parts. And unlike most of the other levels that you're playing, this tends to be a lot of conversing with NPCs to see what information they can give you. And I have to say, for a PS1 game, it's really well in depth. There's tons of characters to interact with, loads of little alleyways and shops that you can visit, and tons of really detailed side missions that actually got pretty annoying, but I'll get to that a bit later on in the video. You're playing as Qui-Gon, and the mission is to interact with as many NPCs as possible to figure out where you can find Watto, who can give you a T-14 hyperdrive generator. Seems simple enough. However, you find yourselves in the slave quarters and getting bombarded with a load of children NPCs. Pulling out your lightsaber, they're in awe, they've never seen a weapon like this. However, to my surprise, you can actually slaughter them, as Qui-Gon, a beholder of the light side. And it's not something just subtly forgotten about. These NPCs have animation, voice lines, and screams to associate with your actions.
Who are you gonna murder? Who are you gonna murder next, mister?
And that's where it gets pretty dark. Yes, it certainly doesn't look as violent as most recent video games in 2021, but it's the thought of being able to pull this off is what really leaves a nasty feeling in my stomach. Don't get me wrong, I did not really enjoy doing this. And the awkward thing is, not many people knew this was in the game. When doing my research, I couldn't find many people slaughtering all the NPCs in Mos Espa. It was just something that didn't naturally come to them. And if they did, it was likely children who didn't really feel any repercussions for those actions. Either way, Disney would never allow something like this in their games today. And as far as I know, there's no other Star Wars video game that allows you to do this. At least not one on PS1 graphics or higher. But it actually gets pretty worse. After finding Anakin's mother, in return for her helping you, she asks if you can free Anakin from Watto. After agreeing and letting you visit Anakin, you can converse with him a little while and then do this.
You must be Anakin. I've heard much about you.
You're a Jedi, aren't you? All Jedi carry lightsabers.
Yes, this looks pretty dark, but if Qui-Gon decides to do this now, well, we can just write off the entire original trilogy. Darth Vader, no more. So honestly, he's probably doing the galaxy a big favor by doing this. Unfortunately, by doing this, you do end the mission immediately with the ominous Anakin has been killed message. And then after that, I realized this was a interaction that could be done with every NPC, except one, and this one was also a child NPC. After finally getting into Mos Espa, one of the first side missions you are given is by a hammerhead lady in a pink dress. After talking to her, she asks you to free her son Tomo from Captain Neg. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as going up the steps and trying to go through the front door. After conversing with the security bot at the door, you might be greeted with a few guns, which you have to fend off, and then try and figure out a new way inside. And honestly, it's really not that easy. After exploring all of Mos Espa, which is quite large by the way for a PS1 game, you have to find these stairs in a hidden away street, go up them, climb the electric line on that building, drop down into another building, enter into what looks like a spa room filled with Twi'leks in all their 64 polygon glory by the way. Honestly, Twi'leks never look so good. And then after traveling through 2 different houses and following through another electric line, you're finally able to get into Captain Neg's building. That sounds simple enough until you realize I had to do this 3 times. The first one, I was shot down by an enemy NPC, and the second time, this happened. Extremely annoying, and I had to go all the way around again just to be able to execute the jump properly right at the end of the electric line. This is where it starts getting tricky though. After taking out the guard, you can find Tomo in the back courtyard behind the house. However, a Rancor decides to break out of its cage and you have to defeat him. This is extremely difficult and blasters have no effect on him either, meaning you have to get up close and personal with a lightsaber and try to duel him one-on-one. This took a ton of attempts, and finally after getting into a lucky corner battle with him, I was able to take him out and finally finish the mission. So finally, after opening the cage and talking to Tomo, he tries to finally make his escape. And what do we want Qui-Gon to do? Slaughter him, of course. I started slashing my lightsaber and nothing happened.
We need to find a way to open the store.
The hurt animations and death sound effects were there, but he never died in any way, shape or form. He just continued his lines for me to take out the energy generator to open the door, and then he ran back to his mum and I completed the mission. I thought to myself, well, it was in a mid-mission, so maybe that's why he couldn't die. But nope, once I finished it, I was able to take out his mum, but I couldn't take out him. So I don't know why this NPC was able to survive compared to all the others, especially Anakin. But PS1 games work in a very strange way, I suppose. So that was my experience with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace on the PS1. Like I said, I never realized this was possible until a friend told me, and once I realized it was possible, I tried looking up some footage on YouTube and really couldn't find any. I did see one video of somebody going through all the NPCs, but for specifically children NPCs, there was only one video and it was in really poor quality. The dude thought it'd be okay to record his CRT TV and the footage doesn't look that great. So yeah, maybe this is the first and only video game that allows Qui-Gon to turn to the dark side. But I guess I'll let you be the judge of that. Well, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Let me know if you want to see more oddities and old Star Wars games in the future. If it performs well, I'll certainly look at the back catalogue of Star Wars games and see if I can find anything strange. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.